Welcome back to the Speaking and Communicating podcast. I am your host, Roberta Ndlela. If you are looking to improve your communication skills, both professionally and personally, this is the podcast you should be tuning into. Communication skills are crucial for your career growth, leadership development, and your personal life. And by the end of this episode, please log on to Apple and Spotify. Leave us a rating and a review in what you'd like for us to discuss on this podcast. Now, let's get communicating with Kristine. Please help me pronounce your last name. I don't want to butcher it.
No worries, my love. Ovsepian.
Ovsepian. So I do pronounce the V.
Yes.
Ovsepian.
Yes,
Welcome to the show. Thank you, Kristine.
Thank you for having me.
All the way from LA, right?
Yeah. All the way from LA.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, Roberta. Grateful to be here.
Thank you for being here. You have such wonderful, positive energy. I'm feeding off of it right away. It's so good to have you here.
And grateful. We're feeding off of each other. It's a two-way street, always.
Right. And that's how communication is. So please tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Oh, goodness. Where do I begin? So I wasn't born in the States. I moved to the States from Armenia when I was 12 years old with my family for, of course, a better life, freedom of not only religion, but just overall life. And from 12 years old on, I kind of, being in the culture that I'm in, you're always kind of forced to go a certain path, take on, the responsibilities to fit in life and do the things the right way. And I ended up in accounting for about 10 years and hit rock bottom by the 10th year and really just started to pray. I mean, honestly, when we talk about communication, it's not just even communication in the physical realm, it's communication with the metaphysical realm as well. And I just honestly turned to prayer because to me, communication goes in every direction, in every way in our lives. And that prayer really turned into a very vivid dream that I had, that I looked at myself and I saw myself as I was wearing a white coat. I knew I was healing people, but I knew I was not a doctor. It was just so vivid, but yet so vague at the same time. And at that time, I was just really still forcing accounting. And it was 2009. So after the market crash, of course, I was one of the first to be laid off because highest paid in the department. And, things were just financially not looking great for organizations. So and that time I was still studying for the CPA, thinking, well, if I have my CPA, they'll respect me more. And all of that crap, right? Thinking to fit in still, safe job, good money, and all that stuff. And I just knew, I remember the last, at least I want to say 6 months to a year in that career, I would just get in my car. I would drop off my kids at daycare, get in my car while I'm driving to work. I would just cry in the car and just say, God, I just want to love what I do. I want to help people. I want to be of service. I want to be free to make my own hours, my own time, be my own kind of person instead of being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, when I can take vacation, when I cannot, and be abundant doing what I love. And that turned into that vivid dream months later. And then I that morning, I woke up and spontaneously just typed in the Google search, literally, I just typed in hypnotherapy. And I was coming from my culture and religious background. That stuff is not acceptable. No, that's not okay. But then I was like, okay, if God is guiding me, I'm going to take this as a guidance. And I started looking up at the school and I found out this was a school that had been around 40 plus years. It was an accredited school and it was close to my home, which I never knew growing up, 20 some years at that time in LA. I didn't even know that school existed. Mm-hmm. And it was just chain reaction. And by the second month, I started hypnotherapy school, went to get my master's in psychology at the same time. And basically after that, I just started building my practice and of course, communication. The show is so perfect for what I'm saying. Communication is key when it comes to explaining to my clients, even what I do, how I do it, explaining on the phone. It's such a key factor of people understanding what am I investing my time and energy into, right? So communication is always at the core of every relationship we ever have, from business to personal to children to family to anything, even communicating with plants. I talk to my plants, to be honest with you. People might think, oh my God, who is this woohoo person?
I have a friend who does that. Yeah.
Yes, because plants are alive and they hear us, and they in fact, there's a study that showed that they connected these machines to this person who had plants in the house, and he left the house, and half an hour later he got into some sort of accident, and the plants in the house got shaken up. Like they saw the vibration of the plants get shaken up because we're so connected. Nature is all about communication and connection. So everything that we can go as deep as we want into this, from the universe to heavens to earth to back and forth, it's all about connection and communication. When we think of, mushrooms, fungi in nature, it's all about like communication and the connection that everything is communicating and connected with one another. And so us too, it's like you might think of people like, sometimes when you think of a friend, right, we're even telepathically communicating with one another. And so at the end of the day, it's always everything is about communication. So my communication with the divine, God, essence, a universe, however we call it, to me it's the same, the higher self, turned into my life changing, transforming. And 14 years later, here I am
still
talking
here.
to you about it and loving every minute of it. Every client, every person that comes my way that trusts me to guide them on their healing journey is just, to me, such an honor, such a beautiful, beautiful process, and such a beautiful journey. Of course, again, communicating consciously, communicating subconsciously, because hypnosis is all about communication, about clarity. Like when I give my clients suggestions, it's about clear communication with the subconscious. Otherwise, you can't achieve your goals.
But
so that's kind of in a nutshell.
Go ahead. Yes, but from what you're saying, it starts with you communicating with your inner self. You communicating, you questioning, do I want to go to this job? Oh no, this job, I don't want to go here. It makes me cry. A lot of us sometimes struggle with having those inner conversations with ourselves.
100%, because we're not taught to listen to ourselves. We're in fact constantly communicating with the world around us as the best of our ability. But why is the world in such a deep, heavy space now? Even because everybody lacks in good communication. Why? Because every person, on average, probably, I want to say easy, 95% of the population in the world does not know how to communicate with themselves. We don't communicate with our body. We don't communicate with ourselves. We don't listen to our inner voice. We're constantly told, follow your logic, because your logic is your reality. But it's an illusion. That's an illusion. And the moment we realize that communication starts from within, when we communicate with ourselves, I'm communicating with myself every single day. When I feel a certain thing, when I feel at peace, I communicate with myself and I say, I'm so very grateful for the peace that I'm feeling now, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. When I feel uneasy inside, I quickly go in there and I go, okay, what is this? What is this about? What are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to warn me, guide me? Whatever it is, it's about communication. And it's such a simple thing, but as beings, we're born to really communicate. As we look at children when they're little, the first 2 years of our lives, we're in total, this is now scientifically proven, this is not just spirituality speaking, that we're totally connected with the divine universe. We're not even physically really communicating on this level. It's just babies are so much about like, oh, I want to eat, I'm going to cry. Something hurts, I'm going to cry. It's kind of like those basic needs that we communicate here. But much of a baby's communication is very much spiritual, the first at least 2 years of their lives. And then they start to learn to communicate here, which is when we start walking and talking and all that stuff. Communication becomes physical. So the first few years, our communication is very metaphysical.
Right, right. You say that hypnotherapy, you communicate with your subconscious mind. Now, science has proven that what we do, the subconscious mind is like the boss. We think it's the logic, but it's more the stuff that's recorded in the subconscious mind that we live on autopilot, and it just keeps rewinding itself. Would you care to explain that to us in more
Yes,
detail?
100%. So the first, from conception to the 7 years, around that time, I would say 0 to 7 years old, communication comes from us absorbing basically all the information from the womb on to 7 years old, and all that information that comes to us. If it's about love, if it's about peace, a child can be resilient and grow up to succeed. And if it's about arguments, if it's about pain and suffering and struggle, and a child absorbs that information. And then as we grow older, we become teenagers, young adults, adult life, and then we get older. If there's healing that needs to be done in that space, people don't realize that 90 probably percent, if not more, of our really response in the world is our inner child responding to life. So anytime we get triggered, anytime we get angry, when we're little, we can get angry, we could bite somebody, we could cry. As adults, we know we cannot bite anybody. So what do? We turn to anger, or we shut down, or we run away, and our fight and flight kicks in. So this is the moment where you realize that whatever programming there is in your subconscious, any and every experience that happens. So right now, you and I, even being on this call, right? We feel so comfortable with one another. You feel comfortable doing what you're doing. I feel
Right.
comfortable doing what I'm doing. Why? Because our subconscious has this big plus in there, positive association to this experience. But my dear, let me tell you, up until 14 years ago, you couldn't catch me doing what I'm doing now. Anybody
What
that wanted to
changed?
talk to me, my subconscious changed. I
Ah,
healed it, because before I could not ever be in front of people, to be put on a spot, to be asked questions, to express myself. I would flush, get red and pink and every color in the rainbow. I would just get flushed. I would like, I don't even know how to explain, like, I wouldn't stutter, but I would just freeze. I would just freeze, and I couldn't. You ask me a question, I would just be like, I don't know what to say to that.
all because of fear.
All because of fear. And because I grew up with a lot of fear in my background of, you can't express yourself, you can't talk, you can't this, zip it, it's yours to be seen and not heard. All that stuff equated to me not being able to communicate, which is the key, right? And then this beautiful world opened up for me. And I could only help my clients by just communicating. So I realized that when we're on our mission and our purpose and our path, we just find our inner resilience and we charge ahead. So I went from getting freezing, not being able to talk, to now talking to my clients every day. And I have so much to share, or I come on these calls and these podcasts, and I have so much to talk about, so much to share. I'm just like, I'm right here. But I was the person that couldn't say a single word if you met me 14 years ago, if you put me in this position. So that's what it comes down to. That's the power of the subconscious mind. Now, while it has the negatives and the positives and the negatives and the positives and associations to experiences, you also have the power to go in there, which is why hypnosis works so well with my clients who, and I, again, being in Burbank, in LA, I have a lot of clients who come from Hollywood, a lot of different levels. I have writers who need to do pitches for their stories. I have, executives. I have this, I have that. I have artists. I have actors that, while they're on camera, we think they do so great. I have actor clients that are on camera every single day, and we see them on TV and we're like, oh my God, they're so great, but they're terrified inside. And so getting that part out of the way so that they can shine more brightly, so that they can communicate effectively and not feel like they're being torn apart inside, but they're just putting on the show. It's about the inside out, literally matching one another, instead of just us putting a mask on to pretend to be something or someone that we're not. So that's basically what it's about. It's about really, yes. And the subconscious, it takes milliseconds for us to literally jump in there into the subconscious and say, what association do I have to this experience, to this communication, to this and to that, right? And then your subconscious says, I'm comfortable with this. But 14 years ago, my subconscious was saying, I'm very uncomfortable with this. So I'm just going to freeze. But now my subconscious is saying, let's go, let's do this, let's share. Because even if one person listens and finds their way to communicate, to express themselves, to heal their subconscious, I've done my job. That's how I look at it now. And I'm like, I'm going to share as much as I can.
Yes, please, certainly do. What did you do to change that 14 years ago? And did you do hypnotherapy?
Yes, 100%.
So somebody else practiced the modality on you in order to, from freezing to now you're confident and you can.
So I'll tell you this. While I went to hypnotherapy in the beginning, I didn't go per se for this. I went to hypnotherapy because I needed to get my life together, because I was in such a place of emotionally, I was getting myself, you know how they say psychosomatic symptoms? Like it's your mind gets you sick. That was me. I was getting myself sick because I hated being in accounting. And so I was getting myself sick to a point where I literally manifested subconsciously an actual physical nerve damage in my right arm. I couldn't even hold a single pen to write because I was using the 10 key in accounting so much. My subconscious said, I'm going to create something here so that I can do this. If I can't do my job, I can't go to work. Right. And so that's how powerful we are. Our subconscious is 88% of our mind power. Yes, the 12%, the conscious, is just the follower. The subconscious sends that information and the conscious just follows. The subconscious sends the information and the conscious just follows. And so I absolutely, in the beginning, I went to like literally just to set myself free, to take my power back, to realize who I am, to remember what I'm supposed to do. And so I went for that reason. And then it literally got me out of my depression, out of my anxiety, out of my panic. And I was like, oh my God. And then the first day that I entered my school, it was just like, oh my God, I'm home. It was to a point where my kids were 1 year old and 3 years old at the time. Yeah. And my classmates were making fun of me. They were like, oh my God, you should just bring a mattress and sleep here. I was so dedicated. I had finally found my calling, and everything that I was being taught there, although like the traditional hypnotherapy part was very traditional, like very organized, but there were many other classes like passive regression therapy, like neurolinguistic programming, like what else? I mean, so many certifications I've done over the years, like whatever else like I did, it was just like it was calling me. It was pulling onto me, and it just felt like home. It felt like home. And that was the moment where I realized. But the funny thing is that out of the 300 classmates that I graduated with, I want to say a handful of us, if not less, are practicing full time.
The majority of the others practice if they graduated.
Because in all reality, if it's not your mission and passion, this is not something that you can force. It takes a lot more. Like the way I've evolved, even the way I do my hypnotherapy sessions is not the way I was taught. I bring the spiritual aspect, the higher self aspect, the vibrational aspect, the energy aspect. There's so many dynamics that I've kind of pulled in that come and become my hypnotherapy sessions with my clients. I can't even explain it. It's just so natural. I do sound bath during my hypnotherapy sessions. It's energy work during my hypnotherapy sessions. And whether I'm doing it on Zoom, you remember what was it, like 25 minutes ago or so, we got on the call and right away you were like, oh my God, I love your positive
energy. Your energy was just
like, see, it's thousands of miles. And I love that. Thank you for that. And I said, we're a two-way street. We're feeding off of each other's energy. It's literally like that, even with my clients, because I have clients globally. People think you have to physically be present for this communication, connection, and healing to happen. Absolutely not. Like just now, before we even got on the call, I was with a client and she's in Texas. But
Yeah.
after the hypnosis, she got up and she was like, how is it that beginning of the session, while we were talking, I felt like I'm being choked and my gut is twisting and turning. And now suddenly I feel like, oh my God, I feel like a feather. I'm so light. I'm so free. That's how powerful it is. And it's communication. The key word. I love your show title and message of your show, because
Thank you,
it's so,
Kristine.
and of course, my love, because all these years I've done many podcasts, but I feel like this one is just on such a different level, because all these years I've never even gotten like dove deep into that. It's all about communication. How you communicate to the subconscious is how you make the changes, because you need to know how to get the gatekeeper out of the way, because our ego is always like wanting to protect, like don't come close. The gates are closed. And then to get that gatekeeper out of the way, to tap into the subconscious and do the healing work. It's communication, because if you don't know how to communicate with the subconscious, there is no access.
You
People
live
can
on
resist.
autopilot. Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody's living on autopilot. Everyone, because everyone is basically asleep.
In case any listeners are wondering, does it take one hypnotherapy session to see the difference, or do you need to go back for more until you realize, wait, I felt like I would choke before, but now I'm confident? How long does it take?
So it's a perfect question, and I'm so grateful that you asked. So I'll tell you this: every hypnotherapy session carries its own energy, its own power, its own healing. Because every hypnotherapy session with my clients, it's like we're creating more and more and building on it, building on it, building on it. So on average, because studies show this as well, and because in the past 14 years, this is the on average pattern that I've seen, between 4 to 6 sessions, my clients can move mountains. Now, there's other layers to that. Are we just focused on healing our past? Because between 4 to 6 sessions, you can clear your past, leave the baggage behind, and move forward. Because I have artist clients in my practice that I continuously see them. Why? Because their life is very hectic. Their life is very pressure based. Their life is very, some of my clients, literally, one of my artist clients, she was here on last Friday. And we literally, in our session, she started writing lyrics to a new song. And
it just came to her.
It just came to her because we open the channels, we clear the clutter. It's kind of like you take away that static, and then you start kind of becoming a channel. Because to me, again, communication, I love how we come back to the communication. Communication comes from, yes, it always comes down to it. It's about the channeling the wisdom, channeling the information. Writers channel information from the universe. Musicians channel information from the universe. Some of the greatest songs come from people like writers and artists communicating and really channeling the wisdom and information and writing the lyrics down, and they become songs, they become stories, they become movies, they become it's kind of like bringing the energy and communicating it and turning it into material, bringing it into the material realm,
to the physical. Yes,
exactly. Yes.
Let's go back to the inner child.
Yes.
I remember somebody saying it's when you address your inner child, is that where you talk to your subconscious? It's almost like you're talking to the little Roberta inside who was 3 and cried because of this. When you do that exercise where you try to connect with your inner child, is it similar to trying to connect with your subconscious mind, or is it different?
Yes. So you're accessing your inner child through your subconscious memories and stories. And I do inner child work with clients all the time. And it's such a profound experience. 99% of the times, my clients sob in the session. It's such a powerful, empowering, yet healing process, because every single one of us thought, oh, the child self, forget the child self. I'm a grown-up now.
I'm big now. Yeah.
Exactly. But we are so wrong, because anytime somebody hurts you, anytime somebody says something, does something, it can be a work situation, business situation, a boss saying something negative to us, and we immediately revert to that child self. Why? Because then your little girl self or little boy self remembers that, oh, I remember when I was 4 years old, my dad or mom said this to me, and now your boss is saying something mean to you, and your little girl self doesn't even recognize this is adult life, this is a boss. She's feeling what she felt when she was that little girl, being yelled at or screamed at or hit by their mom or dad. Does that make sense? And that's why people become so defensive and shut off. And especially in the corporate world, so many of my clients from the corporate world, they are just left and right feeling like they're being, attacked. And I always say, okay, you know why? Because the universe is going to keep kind of slapping you from left and
Until
right
you
and giving
heal.
thank you, thank you, thank you, 100%, until you face, you acknowledge, and you heal. Otherwise, it's going to keep showing up. So I always, anything that repeats in my clients' lives, I just help them like see it, the timeline of their life. What does your external world look like? It's communication. Your life is communicating back to you. So if your external world looks beautiful, then your inner world is beautiful, because your inner world is communicating with your external world and channeling each other. And so if your inner world is really dark, heavy, and sad, and your external world is chaos, it's just, again, communication. Your inner world cannot be peace and love and wisdom and flow, and your external world to be crazy. It cannot be. It cannot be. They are
It's a
equal.
reflection of what's going on inside.
It's a mirror. Exactly. It's a mirror. Yep. It's communication.
It
the
is
inner world
communication.
with the outer world.
Right.
I love it.
Is this also the reason we now live in an age where not only do we get triggered and hurt, but we also have become less and less skilled at managing conflict? We are always butting heads, even for the littlest things. What happened, and why are we finding ourselves in this dilemma as a society?
Yeah. Why? Because number one, every single person is at war with themselves first. That's why we're at war with the world around us. Because if a person is at peace within, why would they have to fight anyone or anything? Think about it. War will end when people end the war within themselves. That's all it is. It's really a bottom line is that communication that is happening internally. I always tell my clients, no matter what you're coming to me, whether it's panic attacks, whether it's fear, whether it's, I don't know, blockages, whether it's
burnout from work,
whatever, anxiety, depression, it doesn't matter. Bottom line, to the root of that is where is your self-love, self-care, self-acceptance, your worth. And if it's literally hitting the ground, what do you think your life is going to show up as? It's not going to show up as love. It's going to show up as slaps and punches from every corner until you heal that. And I lived that life, so I know what that's like. And now that do I have 100% peace and love? No, I'm going to say safely, I'm going to say 95 to 99%. There's still that 1% that seldomly will show up. Mine shows up in this way, especially with this eclipse. It's so interesting how a lot of people's emotions are triggered. And this is how it shows up now. It shows up as, oh my God, the world needs so much love and support and help. Am I doing enough? Am I doing it fast enough? Am I reaching enough people? That's where I'm at now. That's where, and then I'm like, I'm doing the best that I can. 1% at a time. It's kind of like I've been reminding myself for the past 2 weeks. It just feels like there's this energy brewing inside of me, like something bigger, better needs to be happening, because as a world, we're struggling. We're really, humanity is struggling. And more so, I tell my clients, end the war within yourself. When you love yourself, when you accept yourself. Dalai Lama talks about this all the time. He says, if every child is left to love and accept themselves, and not change, right? Because think about it. When we are born, when we're like the first 2 years of our lives, we are bundles of joy and love and excitement.
Everybody holds us. Everybody's happy to be, oh, yeah, come here.
And then suddenly, don't do that. Oh, the terrible twos, right? You know what I say to the terrible twos? And I didn't even realize this until this is like my own intuitive wisdom that I'm going to share. The terrible twos are when children recognize, oh my God, I'm not metaphysical anymore. I'm actually physical. Run, I can fall and hurt myself suddenly. I can get in trouble. People are yelling at me. Because it's less likely.
That is the beginning
parents...
of all those factors coming into play.
Thank you. Thank you, my love.
Yes.
Thank you. And then we start reacting because we're responding with, oh my God, what just happened? Everybody was embracing me and suddenly I'm on my own and everybody's coming at me. Stop dreaming. Teachers tell you, stop writing, start writing. And you didn't write your A right. And oh my God, I'm just 3 years old. Can you just give me a break? Yeah.
Can I just live, please?
Exactly.
Yes.
Can I just be a child? Can I just enjoy myself? Yeah, we think, oh, the sooner we start, the smarter our kids would be. Oh my God, kids are sponges. They will learn. Just let them be. Let them be kids. Like we give ourselves such little time to enjoy this planet. What, 2 years of our lives and the rest is work.
And then it's
like,
over.
oh my God, exactly. Can we have a break?
We certainly need it. When speaking of intuition, so how is that connected to the subconscious mind? Because intuition is also us listening to our gut, our whatever the inner voice is telling us. What's the relationship there?
The relationship, I would say the inner voice is always the voice of truth and love, which our subconscious holds both information, truth, love, and lies and manipulation and chatter and ego bullshit. Sorry, not I'm going to say it that way, but it is the illusion. It's the illusion of the world telling us, people telling us what is not right, who we are not, we shouldn't be, just literally controlling, right? Every aspect of it. So your subconscious holds both information. The way I intuitively look at it, is there science behind that? Maybe, I don't know, whatever. I look at it as your subconscious holds that wisdom as well, just as this, I wouldn't even call this wisdom, but I'll say this, the ego information and then divine wisdom. And so your intuition is always kind of tapping into that wisdom, right? And then as I would give an example, when a lot of times my clients go, oh, I got these two positions in front of me. One is going to be everything that I love to do, but it pays less. The other one is everything that I think I'll enjoy, I'll do, it pays a lot. This is ego decision. This is higher self decision. So I tell my clients, what is your decision? I will never tell you what to decide, but here's how it is. Your ego is going to tell you more money, more money, more money, but you're going to get that job and you're going to be miserable and probably quit or get sick. So money stops, right? The flow stops. But then your higher self has this positive information and it's literally your intuition. Your higher self is saying, take this. It will be a risk, but it will be rewarding. So you can take this and love what you're doing. And 6 months from now, you can make double the money because you can get a promotion. You take this, you get stuck and you end up quitting or getting sick.
I hear you, but at first, if you take the lesser money option, at first, what is being offered at that moment, you're thinking, I have a mortgage, I have kids to feed, daycare is expensive. I need the money one. I can tough it out. I'm a grown up. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And then 3 months later, you get sick and you can't do your job. So there's no money flowing in. You go on medical leave, whatever, right? But this one, I always tell my clients, intuition, your higher self will always guide you to love and freedom. It's risk taking. It's taking that leap of faith and jumping, right? I will give you a perfect example. I won't tell you the whole story because it's too long. Okay. But last year, for 9 months, I was planning to move to the UK with my children. Okay. I'll give you the short version of that. Okay. Last minute, I found out my visa did not go through. Last minute, I found out while I'm in an Airbnb with my children for a month, and then we're moving because I sold a condo and I finalized everything in the States. I cut every cord in the States and I'm going to UK, only to find out I'm not going anywhere. For 6 years, I was looking to find a house in LA because it's not easy to find affordable homes in LA. As you know, the prices are
I've
just
heard, yes, yes.
crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 2 weeks, my intuition said, just make the decision and take a leap of faith and take this risk and jump. And I went in 2 weeks, finding a beautiful home that literally 35 years I'm in the States. It's the first time in my life, 1 year now, that I feel at home every day.
Wow.
I love my home. Found a home. Magically, miraculously, the loan worked out. Magically, miraculously, I had enough down payment. Magically, miraculously, that I always used to say, because I don't know if you're familiar with Burbank. Burbank is one of the expensive cities in LA.
I've heard of it.
Let me tell you, I was like, I will never live in Burbank. Now I live in Burbank.
You live in Burbank. Hello, universe.
Hello, universe. And all of that was me trusting, taking a risk, and taking a leap of faith and jumping and following my intuition. Because my safety, my security, my ego was telling me, go for a less place, a smaller space, and there's a little shack in the back you can rent out. But I was never going to feel at home. Now, thinking about that home, I get my gut twists. Does that make sense?
That's the inner wisdom. Yes.
Exactly.
Communicating with you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Trusting the universe, trusting your intuition, to me, our intuition is one with the universe. There's no separation. And the universe is literally our ally. The universe is rooting for us to live life to the fullest and enjoy it and celebrate it like we did the first 2 years of our lives. And here we are, all our lives, we're like, oh no, safe is good. Let's be logical about this. When my clients say, oh, well, I'm being realistic and logical, I'm like, so how is your life looking?
That's how we've been raised, Kristine. Come on.
This is why we're doing the show today.
Exactly. We're open to new information.
Exactly, my love. And I was raised in the same way. Trust me. I'm an immigrant in this country. I'm still building myself up. I'm still growing. My children will have a better future, but I'm still trying to navigate in this foreign country in a sense. Yes, I'm a US citizen, but I wasn't born here. So every day I remind myself of, no matter what I was raised with, no matter what my background was, no matter how where I live, what I'm doing, it's about really living in that communication internal with the universe to be, I trust, I surrender. Like I always tell my kids, I'm like, every day I live in prayer. Every day I go, universe, you put us in this home now. Take care of it.
Make it happen.
Financially.
Yes.
Exactly. I took the leap of faith. I jumped. Now my faith is strong. I'm just going to believe that every month my kids and I are taken care of. Every month, everything we need is abundantly taken care of. That's the intuition. Because my ego, oh, sweetheart, if I let my ego in, she has a lot of fearful things to say. When, how is it going to be? Are you going to make enough money? Are you going to make it?
And we start doing the math in our heads and we talk ourselves out of it and we let we make the inner voice like, you shut up because you're not realistic. Can you just please give me a moment to do my math and see if these numbers add up?
Yes. So I'm going to give you this information. Maybe this can help the listeners. I always say, ego says, if I see it, I'll believe it. Spirit says, believe it and you'll see it. You see the difference? That's faith.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's how it manifests physically.
Exactly. So manifestation is literally that. Because so many people say, well, when I save up this much money, I'll go and have that vacation. I say, put it on a credit card and trust that it will get paid. I know people might think that's so irresponsible of you, but where's the faith then? Where's the trust then? Where is that intuition and that divine connection? This is how we need to start living our life, not like this. Because we've done this way, humanity,
That's
and
what
this
we've
is the
done all
biggest
our lives.
problem.
Yes,
Thank you. And this is
yes.
why we're all in trouble, because we tried to do it this way, the human way,
Mhm.
the realistic, the logical way. Where has it gotten us? Look at our world. It's a hot mess. That's why I say live this way. When you live this way,
Mhm.
yes, exactly. Communication with the divine. I even
Right.
have clients who are atheists. Atheists might listen to this and be like, what the hell is she talking about?
Yeah, and
Even
the thing is,
atheist
this doesn't
clients.
mean we tell people what to believe, but in
Exactly.
whatever you communicate with your
Exactly.
internal voice, your intuition, your subconscious mind, whatever it is, it's entirely up to
Exactly.
you. Yeah.
It will always guide you to love. And sometimes my clients say, well, how do I know when it's my ego and when it's my higher self, when it's my intuition? I'm like, well, let me tell you this. Your higher self will never threaten you, will never create fear in you. It will always guide you to love with love through love. The ego, on the other hand, always says, be afraid, be careful, there's danger around the corner, be small, don't shine, dim your light, go hide. Is that how we choose to live our lives? I know I don't.
Mm-mm. Kristine, you've written 2 books, Wisdom Unbounded and Living Through Choice. Would you like to give us a brief summary of both? Oh, such beautiful covers. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very meaningful colors. So, Living Through Choice was the first book that I wrote, which I never thought I would ever write a book. So I was like, who am I? What am I going to talk about? And it really, the foundation of this book is not only my own freedom of my own fears, because it literally just says transform fears to love at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also my commitment to spreading, even if 10 people in the world read it and their life changes with this book, I know I've done my work, and I've seen such incredible stories from my clients who, one of my clients in particular, I want to really share the story. Her daughter had a lot of emotional stuff, and she was very close to ending her life. And I don't want to say my book, but I'm just going to say whatever information that was in here saved her life, because she ended up admitting herself to a mental hospital, and she read this book. And when she came out, she said, Mom, if I didn't have that book, I wouldn't be able to go through. It gave her hope. And that was the key to this book. Of really, my intention to write this first book was to let humanity, anybody, everybody that is open to beyond the traditional way of doing things, to know that there's tools out there, that there are ways that you can free yourself from your past, you can free yourself from the agony, you can free yourself from your mental, emotional torture, trauma, whatever it is, you can free yourself. And there are different modalities that help you do that, which I talk about passive regression therapy, and how we, all the emotional stuff that we can feel, anger, resentment, depression, addictions, unforgiveness. That was the intention for the first book. Now, the intention for the second book was to remind us that everything we need is within us. Everything. We don't need to look outside ourselves. We just need to have the right tools, which the tools are in the books as well. We just need to have the right tools to know that literally this wisdom, unbounded wisdom, unlimited wisdom, is within us all. And the subtitle of this one is A Guide to Alignment, Freedom, and Peace. And I ended my book with words that I want to really share with you, because I think it's just empowering. Some of, like, on the last page, I really, and this came to me while I was channeling, and it said, it's basically about celebrating our life and knowing that every day of our life is so precious, and every day is so special, and every day, how we intend to live it, life is happening for us, not to us. Life is happening through us. Some of the words that I want to just share is, I said, live fully, be playful, graceful, and free. And I live by those words every single day. Even one of my clients, right, I'm pointing to my left, I have this tote bag that one of my clients printed for me, and he literally put those words on it: playful, graceful, and free. Because I feel like really this journey on this planet is all about that, is about us being playful, graceful, and free, and not restricted, and not limited, and not traumatized, and not in pain, and not in suffering, thinking this is life, because that's hell on earth. Let's live heaven on earth. And that's what I wanted to share.
Absolutely. Let's live heaven on earth. Yes, Kristine, one last thing.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
there anything that listeners can do on a daily basis to start learning to communicate more with their inner selves and with their
Meditate.
subconsciousness?
Meditate, meditate, meditate. I also have a free meditation, a stress releasing, because I know with our planet going through everything that it's going through right now, many people are stressed, they're anxious. So I have a free stress releasing meditation on my website. If they go on my website, www.journeys, JOURNEYS to TOHEAL heal.com, which is journeys-to-heal.com. And they can sign up for the newsletter, and they can, once they sign up for the newsletter, they will automatically get the email with the meditation that can help them relieve the tension and the stress and all that craziness that's happening in our world, which I feel like our meeting today was so divine intervention. And I know it might take a minute for you to post this, but either way, I know when it's going to reach people, and I'm grateful to be a part of it, because like I said, if you and I can come together in this spiritual, I want to say prayer, because to me, this is a prayer. We're praying for love, right? We're talking about love. We're talking about communicating to the universe that we're asking for love. Please help us.
Yes, we certainly
even if one
need.
person, it changes their life, you and I have done our work.
Absolutely. Words of wisdom from Kristine Ovsepian, the hypnotherapist, and many other modalities that she practices with to help her clients. The author of Wisdom Unbounded and Living Through Choice, all the way from LA. Thank you so much for being here today, for sharing your love, and we certainly felt it.
Thank you so much, my love, for having me.
And before you go, my absolute pleasure. Can you give us your website again?
Yes, it's www.journeys-to-heal.com. That's JOURNEYSTOHEAL.com. Journeys-to-heal.com.
Journeys-to-heal.com. I will certainly put that on the show notes. Thank you, Kristine. This has been amazing.
Thank you, Roberta. Thank you so much, my love.
My absolute pleasure. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a rating and a review on Apple and Spotify, and stay tuned for more episodes to come.